It's What the Hell is Frontier X? And it is a company I started 9 days ago. And prior to that, it's a consultancy that specializes in emerging markets. And prior to that, I worked at Facebook for 4.5, 5 years. So take a step back. What might be helpful for you today is to learn more about my story, how I got to where I am, the future ahead of me, which may be crazy, may not be. Who here has seen Westworld? Anyone? Okay. Oh, you don't need to have seen it to get the analogy here. So imagine you just got off a train, and you're dressed like a cowboy. You have a six-shooter on your left, six-shooter on your right. You look ahead at you, and you see a Wild West town. You see a saloon with people staring at you. You see like a brothel. You see like people going off to like a gold rush. And you think to yourself about the boundless possibility ahead of you, and the bullets are real, and what you have ahead of you is adventure and possibilities ranging from amazing to terrible and life-threatening. That's how I feel right now. But I didn't always feel that way. So maybe take a step back here. I'm from New Zealand, but I lived in a few different countries growing up: Japan, Russia, Philippines, India, Indonesia, because of my parents' job. Then I went to university in the US. And like many people in university, I'm sure some of you might be able to relate to this, I had no idea what I was doing in my life. Of course, like most people at university, you want to get into banking, like your first year, second year. And then eventually, my third and fourth year in the US, I started realizing what I'm really into. And I took a class in constitutional law. And for me, it just really struck me as something really, really interesting that I'd never thought about before. So I thought to myself, in my last year of university at the US, should I go to law school? Now, in the US, it's slightly different. You have to plan ahead for these things. You can't just decide to go to law school. I was late in the application process. So I thought to myself, okay, let me just go work somewhere for a little bit and decide whether I really want to become a lawyer. And then, like many things in life, they happen serendipitously. A friend of mine invited me to Silicon Valley to work at a startup, think tank, incubator thing called Singularity University. I didn't know what it was, but it basically turned out to be a crash course in technology for me. Because this is a place that is kind of a think tank, consults with big companies, consults with students, on the cutting-edge technology that's affecting the world, like space exploration, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, nanotechnology. And to me, as a political science and economics major, I didn't know what any of those words meant. So over the course of 3 to 4 months, I was an intern at this place, and I was pretty much serving food to these different people who were the clients, employees coming in, basically just doing work as an intern. But through that, I managed to pretty much get a crash course every single day from people who are the world experts in longevity or biotech, et cetera, et cetera. And to me, it opened my eyes to the world of technology, and it's something I never really thought about before. So that was a very formative experience for me, and it kind of came out of nowhere. And I had this point where I realized that what I was witnessing was really the creation of the future, and I wasn't really participating in it, however. Imagine you are in the UN Security Council, you're sitting in this really intense meeting talking about nuclear arms proliferation or whatever, but you're the guy pouring coffee. You're not sitting at that table, you're not the person making the decision, you're witnessing history, but you're not participating and shaping history. And so I thought to myself, okay, I need to figure out a way to get into these industries of technology. That's all I knew. I didn't know how to code, I had no computer science background, I didn't have any PhDs in physics, I failed physics in university actually. But I thought to myself, maybe there's some place for someone with an economics, political science major. And so I applied to a bunch of tech companies, Googles, Facebooks, Twitters, etc. And I also applied to a bunch of biotech startups, and I thought maybe like a sales marketing role would be where I could fit in. So through sheer luck, I managed to get an interview at the Facebook kind of new grad rotation program. They just started that in New York. So over a 2-year period, they would offer an opportunity for like 10 recent grads to work in different sales and marketing teams over 2 years, and then finally become a full-time employee on one of those teams. I got an offer to interview, request for an interview in New York. The same day I got a full-time job offer from Singularity University, where I'd been an intern for the previous 3 months. And very, very quickly, I turned down that job offer and went all in on the Facebook opportunity. I had no other leads. I had 30 days left on my visa. Remember, I'm a New Zealand citizen. I had enough money in the bank to fly to Australia one way and hopefully crash on one of my friends' couches and work there, worst case scenario. But I said, I have basically all my eggs in this basket, and hopefully this will work out. So they flew me to New York. I went through the interview successfully, and then they invited me back for a final round interview in California. And that was to talk about any project I've worked on at university. I'd been out of university for 3-4 months, so I didn't have projects to my name. But I thought back to when I was at university. I was the president of the student government, and I was also the president of my fraternity, two of the most life-forming things that I've ever done. So I had this situation where I built this 10, 15 slide presentation, kind of selling myself, talking about all the stuff that I've done. And I did this from the California headquarters, sitting alone in a room and talking to 5 New York Facebook employees on a video conference. It was a bit awkward. And then, at the end of my presentation, I was told in advance that I'd have some really intense Q&A, so get ready. So I finished my presentation, talked about everything I've done, and then someone asked me a question, who ended up being my first manager. She said, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Really easy question. I'm like, okay, I got this. And then, this guy who hadn't laughed at any of my jokes the whole time, he had my CV in front of him. I could tell he wasn't happy. I think he was playing bad cop. He ended up being a really close friend of mine, but at the time, I'm like, who the hell is he? He said, okay, Anthony, great presentation, but I see here you have on your resume an interest section. And it's one of your interests is listed down here, science and technology. Can you explain that to me? And forgive how American this analogy is, but I felt at that moment that you are at the World Series of baseball, the bases are loaded, you see the ball coming towards you, and you know you're going to hit a home run. And I had a flashback to when I was at Singularity University 2 months before, where one of the early Google employees was on the staff, and he told me, when you're writing up your resume, the people who are going to hire you, they're not robots. Put in your interest. You play guitar, you like surfing, just put that in there. That's the first time anyone had ever told me that. So this whole intersection thing, I wasn't so sure about, but it ended up prompting this person to ask me the question. And so I said, great question. And I started talking about how, the past 3 to 4 months, all I've done is basically a crash course in everything in science technology. So I said, well, you know what, Charles? The Human Genome Project took 20 years and cost $3 billion. And now with 23andMe, you can do that for about $100. And if you think about Moore's Law applied to the cost of sequencing a genome, it's going to go down to 5 cents in the next 5 years, which is approximately the price of flushing a toilet. At the same time, when you think about how doctors can use that technology to get a medical device like a Star Trek decoder, and it just kind of started ranting. And then I just basically showed my passion for what technology was, and I stopped talking, and he said, that's a really great answer. Now, I didn't know if I got the job then, but I got into my car, drove away. I was listening to Jay-Z's public service announcement. I keep these things in mind, what songs I was listening to at critical moments in my life. And then I got the job. So moved to New York a few months later, and I started as part of this rotation program, and I was on a sales team for financial services clients. So the way this works is pretty much, if you're a big client that's spending a lot of money on Facebook, you have a dedicated team to provide you with strategic advice, say, kind of acting as a consultant. Hey, how can we help you solve your marketing goals, whatever they might be, your business challenges. At the same time, we have product and technical expertise. We can advise you, your agencies, how you can do a better job on Facebook. So my first clients were American Express and Geico. And we worked with them, we worked with their creative agencies, their media agencies, and I had no idea what I was talking about because I have no expertise in the advertising industry. So it was kind of a very daunting moment for me, but eventually, through time, I got better at what I was doing. I started learning more about these terms people are throwing around, pretending like I was understanding. And I think a real realization for me in life at that point was that, a lot of times in life when you particularly go to a big company or an impressive company where everybody around you seems so smart, your biggest critic is usually yourself.